Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream on the Bow Wow Bill page. We're streaming live on our YouTube page, Facebook, and Twitter right now. And if you guys have not stopped by my YouTube page and hit that subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button right now and hit that like button and comment down below as well. It helps with just getting it pushed back out. And the more that I do these live streams, the more YouTube starts to like me. So I like that. I want to get more people, and I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I have 606, so 294 more to go. Oh wait, 394 more to go, and I'll be there. And today I have Marshall joining me. What's happening, Marshall? How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I got Ronnie saying howdy from YouTube. Make sure, Ronnie, I know you, buddy. You better be subscribed, man. This one's going to be a good one, you guys. This one is one of the ones that I was introduced, and we have, who's this joining us, Marshall?
This is my Lurcher Henry. So he's greyhound, but a quarter whippet pit bull, and he likes any kind of attention.
As I can see.
Yeah, sucker for any kind.
He's like, I got it all, buddy. This is one of the ones I was looking forward to. Jason was telling me about Marshall, and Marshall does rat hunting in Washington, D.C. Actually, do you want to give people a little quick introduction about who you are, where you're out of, and what you're all about while I hit the share button, Marshall?
Sweet. Yeah. Well, my name is Marshall. I'm originally from Baltimore, living kind of in Maryland, D.C. area right now. I started off getting more into earth dogs, like as far as digging and working, and I was big into Patterdales when I initially began. And when I first saw a Patterdale, it was from this guy who had them in Western Pennsylvania, and his big thing is that I breed Patterdales for hunting. I am not a breeder. And that was something that he consistently made really, really clear to me. And he said, I will sell you one of my adult dogs, but I need you to hunt with me so I can understand what your intentions are, and I can understand if you can work and handle these dogs. So he had this one male dog that was returned to him named Barry. And Barry supposedly had issues of dog aggression. But as I started working him more and getting in more activities, I realized this dog might not have dog aggression as much as he's just bored. And he was just like, okay, I'll kill time by messing with some dogs. But as I started getting him more working, getting busy, he was doing really well with the earthwork. How I do earthwork is I have an avalanche tracker I attach to my terriers. They go to the ground, they locate quarry, they work it, and I dig straight to them. And that was originally my intro to terrier work before ratting, was doing that stuff. And
so
then,
what did you find with the earth dogs?
Originally, what I did with earthwork and how people do earthwork is they use, in the U.S., it's typically Jack Russells and Patterdales, or some dachshunds for earthwork. And basically what you do is you get an avalanche tracker or like a earth dog locator. You put it on them. You have a couple shovels. You work your dog. Your dog finds the quarry in the hole. It goes to that point. You use your avalanche tracker and you dig straight down to them. Sometimes it could be 1 to 2 feet. Sometimes it could be 4 feet. If you go to the wrong place, sometimes it could be close to about 8 to 10 feet. But it just really varies upon where you're going to work and find your dog.
Well, so people just don't know that this is what you do with these dogs, dude.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm going to find a couple pictures, too. I was talking to Terrier Man. Do you know who Patrick Burns is by chance?
Patrick Burns is a local legend. He is located in Maryland as well as I am. So I'm very familiar.
Yeah. I've had him on one of these live streams as well. And,
that's a very knowledgeable person.
Yeah, I want to have him back, dude. He's actually one of the most viewed, most popular ones on YouTube. And so, Patrick, if you're out there watching, man, I'm coming after you again. He's a great guy. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. Yeah, I want to go out there and I'm planning on coming out there to do a couple seminars here pretty soon. And I'll let you know. I want to go out on the streets of Washington D.C. with you to do some ratting.
Yeah,
and I want to hang out with him. But I had no clue, dude. I had no clue. And look at this, you guys. Like, people get these dogs. And then we'll continue. I don't mean to interrupt you, Marshall, but I just wanted to stop because I think that people, they just think these dogs are cute. They think that's all they are, is just cute. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on one of these conversations, is because you're actually doing something that is benefiting that animal. And just like the guy that sold you your Patterdale, that he's like, dude, I don't breed dogs. I provide working. I provide basically essentially a tool farmers and I mean, what is the purpose of going and getting these vermin so they don't dig up places? Are you usually going out for people that are owning a farm? Who are the
Yeah.
people that
When you hear the word terrier, you hear the word terra in there. Terra means earth. So that part of that word in the title is already in there. So how I started was with the earthwork stuff is I work near soybean fields and get groundhogs out that are absolutely eroding the areas. And a lot of in Maryland is what you see is groundhog and red fox. That's kind of what your main target's going to be. You'll also see opossum and raccoons in holes, but the primary is going to be groundhog. A lot more groundhog working it, and those soybean farmers love us because all groundhogs do is love soybeans. So the idea is to get them off of that space and keep them from the ground eroding.
That's wild. That's wild. And so the ground will collapse, and will they go like underneath and eat the roots or something like that?
They'll go underneath, eat the roots. They'll come out in the morning, eat the tops of it. They will go into the fields where your horses are. And if your horse lands a leg in that hole, that's going to be a really injured horse.
No kidding, man. So all around benefiting the agricultural, industry, and it goes way back too. Like, I mean, this is the history of those dogs.
It's the oldest form of pest control / working for that. Before there were chemicals, before there were poisons, there were people in the UK using their terrier type dogs to push fox and move them out.
Yep, and that's basically what I've seen with the ratting too, and it's kind of encroached into the urban environment as well. So, but I want to stick with the earthwork and the earth dogs here really quick, just because I want to really kind of flush this out, if you will. How big are the groundhogs?
It can really vary. The biggest one I got was probably like 17, 18 pounds. The size I see consistently is probably 10 to 12. But I don't think people realize is that a groundhog above ground is a pretty easy target for a dog. They're slow moving. They're kind of furry. A dog sees it, they run up, they grab it, it's done. A groundhog in a tight hold space is a different type of animal. So that dog has to go in there and pursue this groundhog who is built literally like a football. Like even like that picture, yeah, like a football. And you'll even see the entrance of their holes. It's shaped like a wide football when you go in. Their teeth are very strong, and they know how to keep in their space and work and fight hard in tight spaces. But as soon as they get out of that tight space and they're above ground, they're not a very formidable quarry for the dog. But underground, they're extremely formidable.
Well, and that's what the dog has to go into the den of these animals, right? And fight them in their own home.
Yes, and there's a variety of styles for that too. Like there's people. Sorry.
No, go. What are the different styles? That's what I was just going to ask.
The different styles are there are people who prefer more of a baying mixing type dog. Those types of dogs are going to be your Jack Russells. They're going to be your dachshunds, especially your dachshunds. Dachshunds are very smart at taking little shots and staying away from the groundhog, as well as Jack Russells. Patterdales are more of your straight go in there and work. My dog Barry, my first Patterdale, was very much like that. What he would do is he'd get in the groundhog's face, kind of almost like a wild hog, and be like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And the minute the groundhog strikes, what he would do is he would grab their chin and bite hard enough so they couldn't bite back at him. He was a very, like, I don't even want to use the word evil, but like a really tough, strong dog. And he was the hardest, smartest dog I've met. Because I've met some dogs in the terrier wise who are very hard, who are just like, oh, I don't care about myself, I don't care about my body, whatever happens happens. He was like that, but when he first pursued quarry, there was a 5-second window of thought, and that 5-second window of thought saved him a lot.
Wow. And people wonder why, like, they're getting bit by these dogs so quick, and as dog trainers, like, you really have to keep your wits about you with some of these dogs, because man, they are meant to strike fast, strike hard, and hold on for dear life, and they're no joke. I mean, and I mean, it's wild to hear about this stuff, but in a way, this is why these dogs exist, right? This is the purpose of these dogs. So, and just like you said, terrier, right? Terracotta, terrain, territory, right? Yes. That's the root of ground or earth, right? And so a lot of dogs, when they see a vermin go into a hole, they might chase around the hole and, like, be interested, dig for a little bit, but these terriers, once they go in that hole, then they're just like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
clocking in. This is my job. And I was looking at this too, and it was let me pull up this share screen here.
Yeah.
The way that these groundhogs, and let me see if I can find right here. So it seems like they have a pretty big pattern of how they actually structure.
And they can cave in any of that. So if they're going down, a dog is following them, they can turn around and cave part of the hole and keep going.
So let me see here. But what I was seeing too is this waste chamber. So right here at the front, right, plunging hole. Can you see this right here, Marshall?
Yes, I see it perfectly.
Okay. So we got plunging hole and then waste chamber, and we have the main entrance over here. So they have a couple. Wild, man. So they got a turnaround chamber, a sleeping chamber, nursery chamber, and then this is where they go to the bathroom over here, waste chamber, or take any of their trash or clean up after the nursery over here. But when I first saw this, I was like, okay, so the dog would indicate or look in here, and then we have a pretty pungent smell right here. Do they know when the groundhog is present? They know all that stuff.
There are two tricks a groundhog can do to get a dog off of them. One is, well, technically three. One is just bolting out that exit hole. So the other hole they see, you can just go around, bolt out. The other option is caving part of the hole in. So caving it a little bit so the dog has to dig to backfill to get to the groundhog. The other option, which is the smartest thing a groundhog will do, is they will actually put dirt on top of themselves and let the dog walk right over them.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that is the smartest one. And I have seen dogs get really frustrated, and I can't even be mad at the dog or the groundhog, because that's just smart. So if you're gonna put dirt on top of yourself, let the dog walk right over you, and the dog still fall in the scent. Because you got to realize, like, when they're in that hole, that's dark. There's no really good visibility in there unless there's a little bit of light. But for the most part, it's all darkness. They're operating on scent.
And then, so what about foxes?
Foxes are probably some of the most formidable quarry where I am. Foxes, for the most part, only truly den up in really crappy weather. So if you really want to dig to a fox consistently, like that one rain that one morning when it gets kind of tough, or like the weather's not the best, that's when you're going to see the foxes in the holes. Foxes are smart and they bolt consistently, and foxes are very, very fast. My lurcher over there, the one you saw, is bred specifically from the UK to work with terriers for fox. So basically what my lurcher does is he works with the terriers and coincides, and I use it for ratting in a similar manner. What Henry will do is he will sniff both holes. He'll figure out, he'll mark where it is. The terrier will go down, and he will go by that exit hole and take a nap. And he will just hang out by that exit hole, and the minute something bolts, he is on it.
And a fox is in the canine family, correct?
Vulpus. So I think similar.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it is. But they act very feline-like to me. So
yeah, there are gray foxes and red foxes. We have gray and red, but the red are a lot more aggressive than the gray. They kind of push them out a lot. Grays will climb up and down trees. Reds don't do that. People don't realize, but I think actually all of the original red foxes in the U.S. were from UK imports for fox hunting, just for fur trade.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
Very, very cool, man. And so, so we're talking about earth dogs, but where we're headed to is to what got you into what you do with the hunting and the rat hunting in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So basically, my wife now, when we were starting to date, she lived in NYC, and we were dating long distance for about a year, and I had my Patterdale, and I was starting to bring him to the city, and I was like, I don't want to just keep bringing this dog to the city. He's a great dog, but like he wants something to do. He does, like my Patterdale was also one of my demo dogs in obedience. So he had pretty sharp obedience, but at the same time, I couldn't deny what he wanted to do, which was work, hunt, do those things. I found a group at NYC called Rats, and this guy named Jimmy. And I went out one night by myself just because I wanted to understand the game plan first before I got my dog out. And I went with them, and they had these two dogs, and there was a lot of positioning, there was a lot of teamwork, and they were able to get 40 rats of 2 dogs in NYC. Just from the camaraderie and teamwork together, they knew where their dogs were, the dogs knew each other, the people knew each other, and they were able to work really, really well. So I was like, wow, I'm having a little bit of issues with Barry working around dogs and hunting. This seems to make the most sense because there's constant amount of quarry. So like, it's not like he would get to the point where he'd be searching for a ground or searching for a raccoon and be at the dogs and be like, oh, I can't find it, you're annoying me. and you get a little bit grouchy. But with the rats, I never had that problem because there were so many rats to search, hunt for, and work for. He had really no reason to look towards other dogs. Like, I kind of make this analogy and joke. If you have a terrier who's seasoned enough to where he's hunting and he's still picking fights of dogs, that's like a grown man picking a fight in the strip club. There's all these people in front of you, all these things you're going to focus on. Why are you going to fight?
That's a good analogy. I mean, that should be taking all your attention away from you, you know, and or you're just not interested in the dancers. Maybe they just have ugly strippers. But what a great point, man. It's like, let's get this dog's mind working. My dad's trying to call me here. And let's get the dog knowing, or let's get that energy channeled into something that is already intrinsically motivating this animal, right? Otherwise, what people don't realize is that that the aggression is just a steam vent that's transmuting onto another dog, right? But once they have something to go after, then they look at the other dogs going after it, and it almost forms a camaraderie. I would imagine, very much so. Right, because then they're looking to the other dogs as indicators of where the next target will be.
And that's my lurcher. My lurcher, it's got a pretty decent nose, but compared to those terriers, there's just no comparison nose-wise because he's a sighthound. But what he's figured out is when those terriers get behind those trash cans, if I follow them from a distance, something's going to come out. So he'll literally look at the dogs, he'll watch the terrier searching the most, and just follow him from like 3 to 10 feet and just get whatever's pushed out.
Well, and I'm not going to go to a city first, but I just want to show kind of the speed and what we're talking about here. So can you see what we're seeing here? We're at a ranch where this one has almost 1,100 ranch on one pheasant farm. Oh, you don't see it here. Hold on, let me. Oh wait, whoops! I guess I gotta share it first. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I'll come here and push play again. So and then add to stream here. So here we go. Do you see it now, Marshall?
Yep, that is a friend of mine. He has visited me in DC before.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, and this is, I mean, you guys, like, I want to go through here pretty soon they use minks too.
Yep, he's brought his minks to DC before. I got some fun stories about that too.
So do the dogs ever confuse the mink, or do they hunt separately?
His dogs, he trains them almost in a style of falconry, where it's kind of like respect the mink like you respect a hawk. So his dogs are very good about it. What I told people when we did it in the city when we had our terriers was like, if the mink's on the ground, just pick your dog up, because I'm not going to risk it. Of how fast those terriers kill rats, it'd be done if they got the mink. But basically, what we did was there were so many holes all throughout the city of rat holes, and we put the mink down. The mink would just chase them and flush them out like crazy, like a terrier almost, right to our dogs.
So cool. So he's just getting here. Let's get into the action here. Oh, it doesn't take long, man.
No, it doesn't, because he's working on those pheasant farms. Those poultry and pheasant farms, that's where you're going to see a lot of rats. A lot.
Like, and it's kill swiftly, man. That's what I like about this too, dude, is that it's not messing around. It's kill swiftly, and there is a job, man. And even though some people like might be a little bit squeamish about this stuff, this was the original job of these dogs, man, and we have to look at it for what it is, dude. And no apologies at all. Just let's get the job done, because guess what? If we were to allow these rats, I mean, we'll talk about that. I'll start to Google some of the diseases and stuff that rats.
Leptospirosis is definitely a big one.
Leptospirosis. So yeah. Leprosy, right?
Leptospirosis. Lepto is a form of disease you can get from rats from like stepping where they've peed before, or where they've crossed through. I've actually seen more pet dogs get sick from leptospirosis than I have ratting dogs.
Okay.
And usually it's older dogs with that bad immune system, or like puppies that are still getting that immune system. Yep.
Hantavirus, leptospirosis, lymphocytic, I guess meningitis, so meningitis, tularemia, and salmonella, right? That make you very, very sick, man. And that's just here. This is King County. This is here in Washington, where I'm at, right? Most common diseases, respiratory diseases, tumors, most that's for rats. The
Yeah,
disease
poor
that
rats.
they get, you know. But it's also just unsightly. It's also stinky, and not only that, man, but they will tear apart your shit. Like that's
Oh, if you have a
your
smart car,
wiring.
if you have a Tesla, it's done. Especially Teslas. We have seen multiple Teslas just destroyed by rats. Because you got to realize for a Tesla compared to other cars, most of it's how it goes is based upon wiring. So if a rat chews a couple of wires in that Tesla, that's a done Tesla.
So why? I wonder why rats can't resist wiring in new cars. Here's why. That's what I just got here on this new article here. Let's see this. Here is why. So it has nothing to do with it has to do with the car. Dryer sheets. No, that doesn't work. I know that for a fact. Dryer sheets don't work in a car. So anybody that thinks that you just hang dryer sheets, it's not. It doesn't work. I mean, I've heard that
We Go Ratting is so popular with the people and the locals. They will come to us and be like, "Hey, there's a rat in my car. Can I go in neutral and rev it?" And our dogs will always circle the car. They go in neutral and rev it, and they'll just kill rats as soon as they come out the car.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, I would say for when we go ratting, I probably see a rat in a car at least 3 to 4 times while I go ratting, if not more. If not more.
Well, that's okay. Let's see here, and it's like it's literally like thousands and thousands of dollars. So it says it doesn't discriminate. I'm trying to find out why they like them. Oh, soy.
It's shelter.
Our contention why soy is certainly it's laudable. There's trying to be more green potential food. So find it delicious. The stuff that they use to make these plastics, addition to soy in the installation, has taken a rat's chewing wires on the roof. So there we go. We're back at the soy fields, and just like that groundhog that likes the soy.
Yeah.
Paid out of pocket. He's billions of dollars from the automaker. He wants the people that paid out of pocket reimbursed for change of policy. Oh, they're actually going after the automakers for including the delicious.
Yeah, I mean they gotta go after something. I mean your insurance ain't gonna cover it.
So. Yeah, well, and that's interesting, man. So the wiring that is in our cars, the rats find it delicious.
They find it delicious, and also it's just a warm place for shelter for them. Consistently in the winter, I'll see more in the cars, but if we're going after a rat and they see the dog and they're just in panic, they will hop in that car like no other.
Wells disease. Christopher's from the UK, so I've never heard of Wells disease. I want to find out what Wells disease is now.
I have heard of that, but I haven't seen it as much in the US. There might be some.
Wells disease in dogs, associated with it's a dermatititis, gastrointestinal signs, and they use metronidazole for it. Here, hold on, let me see here. Wells syndrome, that's what they call it as well. Oh wow, yeah. So check this out, man. I'm going to show you the pictures of. Well, here we'll go to this other one right over here. Wells. So yeah, it looks like a dermatitis.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
type of thing. In dogs, Wells like syndrome has been described associated with eosinophilic dermatitis, has been associated with gastrointestinal size, and the use of metronidazole. So I mean, I guess that the metronidazole can cause it because it's an antibiotic that kills all the flora and fungi, not just in the body but also outside the body as well, right? And so thanks there, Christopher. So for the Wells disease, and so yeah, and then I want to go through. I have a video of your dogs as well, but I want to just show some of these guys. So what are now? Do the Earth dogs make good ratters, or
the Earth dogs make really good ratters? Most people now, even if they're breeding ratting dogs, they might not even realize that most of their foundation came from earthwork stock in the first place. I feel like if you get to the point where if you just breed ratting dogs, you might get potentially a little bit of a softer terrier. If you ever seen rat terriers operate, they're a little bit on the softer side compared to like the Pats and Jacks.
Yeah, I have a rat terrier actually, and it you know what, I really thought that because I was afraid to get a terrier because of Patrick Burns and just the stuff that I've seen here. Ooh, what are they doing here?
That's the
looks
mink
like
coming out the hole.
Oh, okay, cool. No kidding, man.
No, he got someone he knew from Maryland to come out with us, and he brought 2 minks, and it was a really, really cool experience. That's on YouTube as well. So if you look up like rats, I mean, if you look up terriers and mink, you'll probably see it popped up there. But it was a cool hunt.
Let's see here. It looks
And
like
you'll see my dog Barry in that. There's one clip from that. Actually, we're going ratting in a canal, and there's holes on the top of the wall of the canal. And this mink manages to push the rat out of it and jumps down the wall, and they're just sliding down the vines of this wall together. And then my Patterdale manages to catch the rat as it's going down the wall. But I had to grab the Patterdale because he looked and he's like, oh, I can get this mink at the same time. So I literally just had to pick him up really quickly.
So which one is it? Do you know? Mink rat 240.
Just look up terriers and mink.
That's what I ratting with terriers and mink. Here, I'll just do terriers and mink. Whoop.
Yeah.
Let's see if that will do it. Whoops.
Let's see.
Oh, there's a new choice.
Exterminating big rats in the big city with minks and terriers.
Oh, right here. Here we go.
Yep. There they are, working in there.
So that's the other thing too. Is like oh, wow.
It was so cool being able to use the minks like that and be able to work the dogs at the same time. It was a really cool concept. And like that lurcher there, that's my lurcher's mom.
Okay. And there's the dude that we just saw on the other one.
That's Joseph.
Little video. Okay. Now, when you put these dogs into, this is his front or his
little intro. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. When you put these dogs into dumpsters and stuff, and we'll let the intro go by here. I guess he saved these guys from the fur farm here. Dude, now I want some freaking minks, dude.
It's pretty impressive. It's cool. The work he does is really, really cool.
Yeah, you have to put me in touch with Joseph here, man. I want to check him out. I'm going to subscribe to him while I'm here. And a reminder for you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well if you're watching this. So is this in DC right now?
This is in DC. This is one of my main spots. That's Georgetown. It's a city in DC. And that's the guy, Michael Thorne. He brought his minks out with us to come ratting. He got his minks from Joseph, and he's in Maryland, so we figured we'd give it a shot. People that are out there are some Jack Russell breeders that are testing their stock to make sure they do good. So
okay.
a lot of what I do is a lot of stock testing. So a lot of breeders, if they want to see their terrier still has potential, I will test them for that and tell them what they got. That is my old Patterdale Barry. So that's what got me into everything.
Barry did?
Yep.
Yeah, and people just think they're cute dogs, which they're cute dogs, man. I'm not saying
they are
anything.
cute dogs. I mean, everyone walks up in the beginning when I had him and like, oh, I love your lab puppy. And I was like, yeah, my lab puppy's like 5 years old.
Look at that. That's all rat shit.
Yep.
And they just pile on, man. And I think they see in ultraviolet or something like that. And they follow their own piss trails.
Right. He caught that one barehanded in front of me.
No kidding. What a freaking savage.
Yeah, but that little canal there is where a lot of them come in and out of. That canal is a really fun spot to work with dogs.
People don't realize that rats use rivers and canals as like little highways.
Yeah.
You know? And so we're using this rat to kind of show the dog or see what the dog's going to do when we know that there's a vermin in there. Or
we were trying to do a little demonstration of how he caught that rat, but also I was working and having him next to the mink and showing him the rat and being like, you go for this as opposed to the mink. So I was making it kind of clear cut to him what the assignment was.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I want to come hang out with you guys too.
No, it's fun. This is that spot where we first started. Now we've gotten to the point where we branch out and we go all over DC. I mean, DC is only 10 miles, so it's not too much to explore, but there's tons of rats. So that's the spot I was talking about. His mink went in the hole up there and flushed it out. So you'll see it. This is from the top of the canal. And I'm back over there with my dog waiting for anything to just fly out from the top.
They love ivy. Rats love ivy. Rats love any of these, just this invasive type of plant life that they can go in and make burrows in. And and just kind of hide away in, man.
Yeah.
And rats will climb trees too.
Oh yeah, they will. We've had some rats climb trees to avoid our dogs.
I was at Bruce Lee's grave up here, and I had a freaky moment happen once where um, I was just kind of walking through this cemetery, and dude, there must have been something going on in this tree, because I look up at this tree and I saw a dozen rats.
Yep,
And
some of them like to perch up like that. When we have storms and stuff, if people put branches in the dumpsters, you will see tons of rats perched up on those branches in the dumpsters.
It's wild.
So yeah, that mink got in the spot. He got the first rat out of there himself. So he pulled him out and worked him. So that was a big one he worked out.
No kidding.
The crazy thing about the minks are like, that's cool. So the mink pushed it out. He got it, and he whipped the turn around, and boop, it got out. Those rats are strong.
Yeah, they're no joke, man. And so now did the rat get away there, or?
That one got away because he in the corner of his eye, he was looking at that mink. So he wanted to see if he could do a 2-for-1 special. He was
no
trying to That's why I kept him on leash. And this is where Joseph's crazy. He just jumps down everything.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also you want to show that dog, hey, we need to discern, dude. Like we need, like, this is food, this is help, right? And the dog doesn't know right away. And if that mink is right there, I mean, it's a little bit bigger than that rat, so the dog's attention might be on the bigger target as well, because that's.
Yep. So that mink pushed it out. Barry knew these sign minks got the rat as it pushed.
Okay. And is not focused on anything but that rat.
Yeah.
So the
big advantage with him was that I put a lot of OB on him, a lot of obedience in general. So that did help make wonders. Like, it does definitely help if you're going to try to work them in that style. Like, it's not easy to tell a terrier, oh, you kill this, but you can't kill that. Like, initially.
So what obedience do you focus on? I'll bring that back up. We're just going to let it play here for a second. So when you start the foundation work of the dog before they go out ratting, what are some of the commands that this dog needs to know?
My personal preference, and this kind of varies because in an urban environment, a lot of what you can do is on leash. So there are some people who like to have a lot of foundation. There are some people who literally want to have their terrier like a gun, where it's like point and shoot. So with my dog, I like my personal preference is bond-proof recall. Like, I don't care if you sit down or stay. If I'm going to hunt with you, just come when I call you. And what do you
use for the recall? What do you use? Come or here or?
I use come, and I start off with using pretty high value rewards. I use a little bit of the dog whistle, and I layer it over with the e-collar.
Okay. Cool. Well, that makes sense too, because that e-collar can cut through the clutter. And when that dog's mind is working, and sometimes they'll have that auditory, like where they basically have tunnel vision on that rat, right? Auditory exclusion is what we call it when it's in a high stress or high intensity moment. You might not hear that, literally might not hear that whistle.
But there are some people, and their preference is having like zero obedience on their terriers. And that's not my personal preference. But the advantage is that if you have a really good, strong ratting club, like for my dog Barry, when he's buying his trash cans and stuff, if you know how to play outfield, where you can just kind of stand like she's standing with the leash tightened up, and right there, rats are going to fly into you. So either way, you are going to get a rat. That's one of the advantages. So like you can just sit there, park up where I'm flushing, and your dog will get action.
No kidding. So we got a few dogs here. And there's one way to find out, folks. One way to find out when it's like, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play. And we'll see what your dog's capable of. Now, there's certain things that you have to be aware of in urban environments, right? You have to be aware of course, like drug needles and shit like that. You have to be aware of different, what are some of the things, some of the hazards?
Glass is probably the biggest one, depending upon where you're going. If you see a fair amount of glass, that should be a spot you should avoid. This thing off the rip.
And you're putting them in dumpsters and stuff like that. So sometimes you don't even know what's in that dumpster either, I would assume. I mean, we have
before I put a dog straight up in a dumpster, a lot of what I do is I'll pick a can that has a couple rats in it. I'll try my best to get all the trash out of it and just make the dog know when you enter this space, you are searching for quarry, not food. So they kind of figure out really quick, okay, that's the assignment. That's where I need to go to.
And that's what we train with not just distractions, but where we have to have the dog like discern, hey, look, I'm not eating, especially if we're in a rat, because the rats are going to congregate in restaurants and dumpsters where there's absolutely food and grease and all
Like
that
that.
stuff.
So that's a good example. He's using his mink for this one, but if he didn't have the mink, that would be somewhere I'd start like a eager terrier on, because there's just no trash there. The rat's there by itself, so I could work that pretty easy. So if it was
Okay.
just a terrier in there, the dog would be like, oh, rats popping here, rats popping there. I like to see them, before I do that, kill a rat in open space. It's a lot to ask a green dog to just put him in a tight spot and be like, hey, go work this. So like you got to really build them up depending upon the genetics. Like some of these, like I have someone who comes out of a Cairn Terrier, and that Cairn Terrier is to the point where he is almost as good, if not same level, as a Patterdale or Jack Russell, because of the amount of work this guy's put into him, and just harnessing that drive and showing them what to do with it.
So the first thing would be like an open field rat, and then second thing would probably be like tracking down the rat, and then third thing would be like an enclosed space where.
I mean, you can do it that way. What I like to do with me is I like to do a lot of back tying. So if I have a young dog with me and I have a real seasoned dog, I'm a back tie that younger dog back and let him just watch everything. I like to build frustration personally. I have a lot of like focused frustration is that that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you want. Like I wanted to kind of slowly be going away from them. Oh, you want this? You want this? You can't have it. And then as soon as I get them off the leash, they're like, okay, that's all I want. That's all I think about.
Yeah. That's what we call negative reinforcement, building that drive, right? And taking and letting that intensity build through the desire, and letting the dog realize, hey, look, I will have this, and give them the hope. As long as they fight for it, they're going to get it. Are any of these dogs not on leash? Looks like that black dog in the back there.
The lurcher is not on leash. We have one or two Jack Russells that are not on leash. This is, and the thing is, with them being on leash, with the cans like this, I think they missed this one rat. But as they got more seasoned, if you know where to stand and position yourself, they're not getting far. And that's the key, is like knowing positioning, knowing where you're supposed to be. I call them outfielders. Like looking over the hole, he's like, should I get in there? Outfielders are the dogs that are out around the circle, getting ready to catch anything that misses by. Like that's kind of what my lurcher does too. My lurcher is really smart, and that the lurcher's off leash also, and that he knows I stay further back and I run and I catch up to where the rats and the terriers miss.
Like these guys right here, they must have found something, or they must have.
The rat pushed past them, and the lurcher saw it. And the advantage of the lurcher also is that he has more height compared to those terriers, so you can see some things that they might not necessarily see immediately.
No kidding, man. This is fascinating stuff to me.
Yeah, the minks working in an urban environment was really cool. The thing is that I don't know long term if minks would be a good solution for urban environments. The reason being because there's just too much poison and too much like tracking powder and stuff. Poison is something you should avoid with your dog at all costs. Yeah. All our dogs avoid poison. How it's supposed to be in DC is that the pest control companies are required to have poison in a solid container inside the bait boxes. If there is poison out, that is illegal. You can call 301 and report that.
That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Right?
Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, yeah. And like I said, at the end of the day, our dogs are very much focused on the task at hand, which is go get rats.
And the rat poison is, oh geez, what is it? It's the stuff that makes it so they don't clot.
Yeah, right. And it's for a lot of the times for the rat poison, it takes sometimes 3 to 4 days to kill a rat. Whereas like with these minks and terriers, this is taking seconds.
Wow. Well, and not only that, but it's also it's like we were talking about earlier. It is the very first form of pest control.
Absolutely.
Right? And not only that, but it's giving your dog that job that these dogs were meant to do, and so you're fulfilling them. Now, how do you find people to go hunting with you? So
initially, it was kind of just we posted our group out. We posted on Facebook and see if people wanted to come out, and some of it was just literally word of mouth. Like it was literally just we're hunting, we're going out, people see us. Oh, I think my dog can do that. And I'm like, okay, come give it a try. I also teach at Earth Dog Club where I train. So like if I have some people who are dogs are a little bit more drivey for Earth Dog, I'm like, hey, why don't you come out with me and try some ratting? But a lot of it has been I've just been testing so many different breeders' dogs. I'd be like, hey, you should come see Marshall and see if your dogs can do it. And it's just kind of gone from that point. The Facebook group we have called Renegade Rebel Ratters is also a good forum for people who want to kind of learn outside and figure things out, and then we'll invite them out. But there's just a lot of interest now. It kind of blew up now that like I have these YouTube videos out and things. I don't have to hit anyone up. They find me. they come out the woodwork.
Well, I wonder how my skipper keys would do.
Skipper keys are bred for ratting on barges, so they
I know that they would, man. I just know just how quick they are. And another aspect of this is that people are doing what they call barn hunt. Do you guys have barn hunting out there or barn hunt?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of barn hunt personally, and the reason being is because one, it's more so nose work for rats. Like with nose work, you find the thing, good job, you move on. And it's kind of the same concept for barn hunt. There is rat scent inside of a tube. If your dog marks near that tube, it's disqualified. If your dog bites that tube hard enough, you will lose points. And all those things are things that I personally like for ratting. And then if you have like a Jack Russell or a Patterdale, you enough barn hunt, they're going to keep doing it. And they're like, wow, there's no prey with this. This is really boring. So eventually,
well, and it's leaving out a huge element of this too, which is the kill. And we got a question here from our comments. I want to bring it up here. Renee says, great conversation. She's thinking of adding a wire-haired terrier. What is it like living with them? She currently has sighthounds.
Okay, so a wire-haired terrier, there could be lots of terriers that have wired hair. So that's kind of a general description. Let's just say we're talking about like a border terrier or a yog. Yogs are pretty dang intense as far as living with as pets. They are what you described as like that tool kind of thing. I think people for ratting, either if you have an urban environment, you're going to want, if you're really into it, get a real strong working dog like a Patterdale or a Yog. But if you want like a weekend warrior, that's where you got to look into like those border terriers, those Karen terriers, those Jack Russells. If I was in that person's circumstance and I was used to sighthounds and I wanted to get a little bit into ratting, I'd probably look into a good border terrier. So a border terrier is nice. The disadvantage of a border terrier is compared to other terriers, they are very slow to mentally mature. So most terriers, a lot of them, some of them, at 4 to 5 months, they hit this thing in their brain where like, oh, I can take on the world. And you got it. And there's some other dogs that are like that too. And those are the kind of dogs where you really don't want them getting bit by a rat. You don't want them getting hurt. You want to build them up like a prize fighter. You don't let your prize fighter get knocked out. Like that's a no-go.
Right, especially at that year of age, because we're looking at formative years,
Yes.
Right, that they're going to be drawn back on the whole life. And if they've experienced something, then that can detriment their hunt for a very, very long time, if not for the rest of their life.
Exactly. Exactly. You just because they think they want to do it doesn't mean necessarily they're ready to do it. So that's where that back time comes into play, and letting him kind of see the experience. Like, I'll take terriers if I have them on like a light hunt at like 8 to 10 months. And then when you're past 14 months, I'm like, okay, let's see what you really want to do.
Well, and as working with so many dogs too, I've noticed that some of these, what we were talking about earlier, some of these wired-haired dogs can be a little sharper, can be a little bit more intense than just a regular coated dog, from my own personal observation.
Yeah, you can see some really gritty wired type terriers. I've even trained Puerto Rican street dogs that have that wiry coat, and you'll see a little bit. They're kind of the edginess to them, where they're just like they have the little tough guy mentality.
Yeah. Well, and toughening is huge, man. And that's where I think a lot of people fall short, and they think they're being mean to that dog or whatever. And it's like, no, dude, you're actually doing this dog a favor by allowing them to get the chops up of being able, whether it is to do a successful hunt or whether it is to deal with mom and dad being gone for an hour or two. It's just there's a huge, especially in the pet dog world, toughening your dog is crucial. But you can make a dog too tough too, though, and that's the caveat, right? Is making a dog too tough. But I don't see that too much in the pet dog world. We see that a lot in like working dogs, right? Where they're getting a dog that actually likes a correction instead of responding very well to it. So here's our sighthound.
Yeah. So this is Henry. We've talked a lot about terriers, but to make a good rat pack, you need a lot of variety. My thought process when I first started was like, oh, the end all be all is like Jack Russells and Patterdales. That's the end all be all. But then I started ratting and started seeing other dogs working, And then as of recent, I started working dachshunds more consistently. And not just like 20-pound dachshunds. I'm talking like 5 to 6 pound dachshunds on rats. Like really, really small little dogs that can work, push through, do their thing. And when you see like a real drivey dachshund work a rat, it's almost like a formidable opponent in comparison to like my 75-pound dogs and like my 15-pound terriers. A 6 to 7 pound dachshund versus a rat is a pretty fair square up.
Well, people don't realize that these dachshunds were originally bred for badgers.
Yeah. So the dachshunds I work with are specifically falconry dogs. So there's a couple different words in German they use. I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation, but they use the word Karkatchen, which is kind of like a small dachshund that's more so made for hunting rabbits. The dachshunds that I hunt with are bred specifically to continually push rabbits for hawks and falcons. And the people that come out with me are people that have young dachshunds who want them to search more, who want them to maybe be a little more gritty, who want them to really get in the mix of it. And the good thing about dachshunds for falconry is that the dachshunds do not intimidate the hawk as much. And this woman who comes ratting with us, her name is Teddy Moritz. This is a good friend of Patrick Burns. This is also someone you should get on the pod. She is in her 70s, and she does earthwork with her dogs. And she does falconry with her dogs in her 70s.
Look at this, you guys. I mean, look at the Dachshund with the falcon, right? And this is North American Teckle Club is what it's called. All these guys there.
Yeah, Teckle. Teckle is what you call a working dachshund. You call them a Teckle. Every dachshund that works is technically speaking a Teckle.
No kidding, man. That's why I love doing these live streams, guys, because people think that I do this for the general audience. No, I do this for me, like so I can learn about this stuff. This is absolutely fascinating to me, and this is something that you're getting into, right, Marshall?
Yeah, the first dachshund that I worked was for a breeder who gave a dachshund to a guy in Maryland and was like, "Hey, man, I've been testing my stock on trapped rats. I would like to see how my dog does it." And I saw this dachshund, and I've trained pet dachshunds before, but I haven't really done a lot of hunting of dachshunds. And this little guy came out with us, and he was picking up the skills, and eventually he killed a couple of big rats. And I was like, "Hey, how old is this dog?" And he was like, "Oh, he's 7 months." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "This dog is 7 months old, the same size as rats, figuring it out." And I was like, "Okay, you're gonna have to give him a break a little bit, but I mean, you put him in a make or break situation, and he did it." So.
Wild. I've seen some pretty intense Dachshunds, man. I've seen some crazy Dachshund, even the wired-haired Dachshund. And that looked like, in this Teckle Club, it looked like a lot of these are wire. Oh, wait, where is it at here? Here, I'll just click.
Supposedly, I mean, I might be dealing with some bias here because of the falconry guys, but their main preference is the long-haired Dachshunds for falconry.
Okay, well, it looks like
that's been their thing, and they like a lot. Teddy Moritz is the older person standing in that picture in the background holding a dachshund, standing up. Teddy's live for about 30 to 40 years in the game. Teddy has been ratting also with a lot of famous British ratters, Brian Plummer being one of them.
Crazy, man. Now I want to get a falcon and a Dachshund.
What she does is in the summer, she has a couple dachshunds and she hunts for groundhog with them. In the winter, they strictly hunt rabbits in packs over her hawk.
No kidding. And the winter times when we want to get the rabbits too, because the warbles, right? What we call warbles or bot flies. They infest these rabbits in the springtime, and so we want to hunt them during the winter when those bot flies are no longer in those rabbits there. And look at this little, and there it looks like all of those are long haired. It looked like they were wired.
If you want to see a cool YouTube video of them working rats, I think New Jersey Falconry is the guy's name. His name's Casey Everett, and he brought his female ginger out, and it is one of the best dachshunds I've ever seen for ratting. She is crazy smart, crazy quick. She'll hang on a rat with my lurcher and not let go, and she's like 6 pounds. Hanging by the tip of her toes with a rat in her mouth. My lurcher on the other side of the rack is holding it in the air. Like, it's just an impressive little dog. And the cool thing is that they can get places our terriers can't. So they'll go under a car and work the wheel well and get a rat out in those little tight spaces. And like it works really well with my lurcher because if they get a rat in that one tight spot, it's not like he was going to ever get that rat in the first place. But if they push one out, he's fast enough to get it where they couldn't. And they will open up on a track on rats
like they do for rabbits. It is really funny to watch them open up like that.
Well, I want to see. I got the New Jersey falconry out here. Let's see if the video that you're talking about is available here. And I love this: hunt hard, kill softly. Oh, the Dachshunds meet the DC riding crew. Is that what the?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's the one that you sent me too. So I was already watched this one, but here, let's check it out, you guys. Here, I'll go back to the beginning here.
So this is our typical spot. This is Adams Morgan. Adams Morgan is where we go out a lot to. It's a pretty small, tight-knit city, but there is a lot of rats. I think our record for a 2 to 3 hour night was 50 to 60 rats.
Wild. I just got one of these cameras too. One of the three.
And let me pull them out. Everyone was on that rat.
That's all of his Dachshunds, huh?
Those are two Patterdales and a Dachshund. And here's
Henry.
One Patterdale was being stubborn, so she wasn't letting go. And I was kind of getting it off. And even Henry was trying to get the rat away from her, and she still wasn't letting go. So some of these dogs, like, you can teach them an out. I feel like a lot of these dogs naturally just figure out, just drop it and keep going.
Yeah, the out doesn't mean that I'm never going to get this again.
Yeah.
And look, no leashes. I like that. No leashes, and then the dogs are just kind of sweeping through everything.
That little Dachshund is impressive.
Man, look at that, you guys. Those of you with these cute little long-haired Dachshunds, I have to send this to Adrian Little, a friend of mine that wants to get a long-haired Dachshund. She's
I've been offered a couple of them. The one thing I will say is they don't have the toughest bite compared to the terriers, but they do make up for it in their size and searchability. They definitely do. If I could, I feel like the ultimate small dog for me would be like if I could find like an 8 to 7 pound Patterdale. That'd probably be really ideal.
What about crossbreeding the Dachshund with the Patterdale?
I've been debating that for a while now. That has been a thought process. I'm thinking of possibly getting my friends to do it. In the UK, it's more popular cross, but we'll see. It's definitely yield some interesting results.
Yeah. Well, and that's a working dog. That's like, we're not showing these dogs. We're breeding these dogs for function. There's a rat on the propane tank.
Yeah. The thing is that I've been through like all walks of life when it comes to the working dogs. I've seen like the AKC people try to do it. I've seen the hunting people. I believe breeding worker to worker is a good idea. I think you will yield good results. But if you're not keeping track of the genetics, you're eventually going to get kind of bottlenecked.
Yeah, well, and there's always shit that happens with genetics, man, that is unforeseen. We don't know everything that we're doing with these. And I speak from experience, where I had dogs that I thought were going to produce amazing offspring, and we just had some weird shit with their palates, where they had an underbite or something that it was like, okay, cool, this isn't a good idea. And we discontinued it, but it's...
That's what makes lurchers tough, because lurchers are bred from variety. So there's not a lot of consistency with lurchers. So like my Greyhound, he's gray with a quarter whippet and pit bull. If I were to cross him back to a pit bull, I won't get a really fast dog until the second cross, where I have to put him back to like the females or breed him back to a Greyhound.
Do you have any pitties? I mean, they're terriers. I mean, do you have any pitties that are ratters or?
I have a little half pit bull, half Carolina dog. That's my wife's dog, who does really dang good. I have some pit bulls that will do pretty decent. I have right now someone who is breeding old Boston Bulldogs who wants to test them on rats and go from that point.
Cool. We got a little comment here from Tosh. Tosh is watching from New Zealand. Like I said, we have all around the world, man. I love Tosh. She's one of my faves here. She says some of the best pig trackers, possum smashers, ratters, and rabbiting dogs have been fox terriers.
Fox terriers are very good dogs. They are not as common working lines in the U.S. In the UK and like parts of like Eastern Europe, you're gonna see a lot of really good fox terriers. I don't think people realize a lot of Yogs have fox terrier blood in them. That's where that sharp, kind of tall look comes from.
Okay. Yeah, they don't have any major large pest diversity here like badgers or anything in New Zealand.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is with fox terriers is the advantage they have here is that they have those long legs. They can keep up with tall, big dogs, and that's what they kind of like having here. I've noticed a lot of fox terriers, a lot of general dog aggression that I've had to work out with them.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense too.
Yeah.
Well, and So when you talk about pig hunting too, do you guys ever do any of that stuff, pig tracking, or?
Unfortunately, it's not in Maryland. I would have fun giving it a try if I could, but it's not close enough. But there is definitely a different variety of earthwork and stuff you can do with terriers and sighthounds. I mean, I think do you have nutria where you are?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, nutria is another
south.
Nutria is another pest animal that you can do with earthwork. Nutrias are probably one of the most detrimental rodents as far as just destroying levees, destroying banks. The crazy part about
we do have them here.
Yeah, the crazy part about hunting nutria is that it's a similar hole to that groundhog, the picture you showed, except maybe a quarter to half of that hole is submerged in water. So the terrier has to go through the water to get to the dry spot to locate the nutria.
Washington State for fur farming industry in 1930. Here, I'll share this here real quick.
We have some nutria in Maryland, but our DNR is really big on eradicating them, so you won't see a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely here. So nutria introduced 1930, 1943. There were feral populations. That's a prolific breeder. 2 litters a year. Populations are spreading rapidly throughout western Washington, beginning to appear in central Washington. So yes, absolutely, they're here. I've never dealt with one. I wouldn't know what the frick it do. Maybe I have, man. But I think my cats have gotten one.
Your cat might have got a muskrat. Muskrats are a little smaller.
Okay. Yeah, because it's fur farming industry. Nutria 25% of body weight each day. Dang.
Yeah.
So they're vivacious eaters, right? So 25% of their body weight each day, because it eats roots and stems of plants. It destroys about 10 times more plant matter than it eats.
They're pretty popular to dig to in California. They're like southern states. We just don't have as many. Another popular quarry for earth dogs is armadillo. People like starting in Texas, like starting young terriers and armadillo, because armadillos kind of just use their shell and block the dog and they won't bite. So it's a good way to kind of get your dog used to traveling tunnel and working quarry without taking damage at all.
So what would be good dogs for this nutria?
It really depends. I've had a lot of people tell me sometimes straight get in there, catch dogs work. Sometimes little bears work. I think you probably need a pretty hard dog considering the fact that they're going through water a little bit and there's a lot more tough terrain. But it varies. I think they're somewhat similar to groundhogs and how their holes are set up, but they're formidable underground. That's one of those things that like above ground probably wouldn't do too much. Underground probably do a lot.
Oh, we got our man here, dude. Check this out.
Oh yeah, Joseph's in there too. Yeah, Joseph is one of the few people to have used a mink to hunt nutria as well. So there's a nutria in the canal. There's a terrier pressing towards it. So he had a terrier named Gremlin, and Gremlin was a good dog. But in this video, you'll kind of see she's struggling because she's too short to navigate the water in the quarry.
Okay, he's got the educator. The educator, that's ecollar.com. That's Greg Van Kuren. I've done a live stream with him, the owner of that company as well.
Really, that would be a great live stream, I bet.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, actually. Greg is a very good friend of mine. I love that guy. We actually need to give him a call.
I would love to see if Mini Educator can make a GPS component to their tool. If they did that, I would have no other reason to use anything but Mini Educators.
What did you want to see on the Mini Educator?
I'd like to see a GPS component.
Okay. Yeah, no kidding, because of you use avalanche hunters instead, right?
Well, I also like to just if I had Henry out or if I had another dog out, I'd like to be able to at least know like from a half mile to a mile or two what they're doing, or maybe in 4 or 5 miles. But like the dog trus, the Garmins are what you use mostly for like GPS as well as e-power use. But I like the buttons on the Mini Educator so much. It's just so quick. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to think anymore. I can just kind of have it in my hand and operate.
I'm actually texting him right now. Working on GPS.
Even if there's a way to somewhat link a GPS part to my iPhone and we use that would be cool.
I'm live streaming right now talking about it. There we go, man. I just messaged Greg Van Kuren there, so make sure. Yep, he's right there. So I'll see what he says. Hopefully he'll get back to us before the live stream ends here. But yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe we can make it happen, dude. And I would love. I mean, this is basically functionality that would help get his collars in the hands of more people as well. Although he probably is one of the most popular collars on the face of the earth.
Oh, probably so. Yeah, but like I said, the thing is that if you want to have a GPS component, you have to switch to a Dogtra or a Garmin, even if it does work well with that. And Joseph is a hunter, but he's like me. He likes to be an educator, to where it's just faster. You don't have to look for it. It's quicker. But then he has to start getting Garmin because he's letting his dogs range out a little further. And he still wanted to have that control, but he couldn't use them in educator because he couldn't see where the dogs are.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and literally you can get lost, especially in this type of terrain too, man. Like, and people don't realize how vast and wide open the outside world is. So here we are at what does he have here? What kind of breed is that? Do you know what he's using right there?
So I believe that's a Patterdale. I also know he has Patterdale with big crosses, which are pretty cool.
Okay.
Really
That's
cool.
probably what it is, I would say. I mean, otherwise it's a big Patterdale.
It might have been his literature too. He's got too many black dogs, so to look down.
And he's putting the net there in case a nutrient makes a break for it, I bet.
So Joseph also he hunts beaver with his terriers too. And that is a pretty extreme form of terrier work. For hunting beaver, you should really only use a baying type dog. So what Joseph does is pretty impressive. Joseph in the winter will use his baying type terrier to push the beavers out and then jump on them and spear them.
No kidding. Baying dog.
Yeah, he literally hunts them like a caveman.
And basically all baying dog is doing is alerting once they see the actual animal.
Alerting and barking and kind of pressing them a little bit, but you don't want too hard of a dog on beaver because a beaver's bite, if it gets on your arm, you're bleeding out. If you're a person, a dog, I don't care what you are. That's a very strong bite. Beavers can also get close to touching 100 pounds.
No shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I want to see what beavers are. Beaver.
He probably doesn't have those videos on YouTube, I'd imagine, because they're pretty intense. But he does work them, and I've seen other people do it too.
That's a plane. They just pulled up the beaver. I'm like a max speed of 140 miles an hour. I'm just like, what, dude? No, that's the plane. Beaver weight here. Let's see. I'll say beaver weight records. 110 pounds.
Yeah.
They weigh between 35 and 65 pounds.
Could feed a whole family off.
That's nuts, dude. I never knew this. I know that my buddy Duke Ferguson, he hunts beaver, and he was showing me. But here, let me share this as well. This is like he was showing me when he was like gutting the beaver, but I didn't realize how big that beaver is, man.
Yeah, no, they're impressively large. Like he will feed up his mink, feed his dogs, and feed his family with this large beaver. When Joseph is going hunting, Joseph uses the whole part of the animal to take care of his family and dogs. Nothing goes to waste.
This is blowing my mind, man.
You see the size comparison to people, just hanging up like that.
Yeah, you see them? Do you see the?
Oh yeah,
the pictures I'm showing here. 63 pounds, and even look at that beaver.
There's a reason there was a big boom on the fur trade back in the day, man. When you got something big like that.
Wow, I guess that needs me to sign up for a subscription there. Wow, dude, this is blowing my mind, man. So, I mean, I never knew. I thought beavers were little things.
Yeah, we've definitely touched a lot of bases now, so that was good.
Yeah, no kidding. So, I mean, if people are you strictly in the Washington, D.C. area, or?
So I live literally on the border of D.C. and Maryland. I could walk out my door and cut left, and I could put my feet on D.C. and Maryland. So I'm right smack on the border. We do a lot of the ratting in D.C. I have gone ratting in Boston. I've gone ratting in NYC. A little bit in Baltimore. But
okay, I've seen the ratting in NYC. I think Vice did a bit on that. And honestly, that's what wetted my whistle to contact you. Is there anything that we haven't
Vice is how I
discussed?
discovered you too.
Really?
So I guess a couple of years back, I was just hanging out watching Untitled Unmastered with Action Bronson, and I see this guy coming out training his dogs, and I was just like, oh wow, I'm used to watching the show, but now it's actually holding my interest a little bit.
Nice, man. That's dude. That's crazy. You're the first person that. I mean, a couple of people have said that they saw me on there, but yeah, man, Action's a good friend of mine, and
that's how I discovered literally from that.
No kidding, man. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, thanks. That was a wonderful experience, dude. He called me up one day. He's like, "Bro, I'm gonna make you famous, bro." And I started laughing. I was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" He's like,
"I love that. That show was crazy because there was no concept except hanging out and discovering different things in that show, and it would get to the point where I guess he would get a little bit too foggy, and he'd just be hanging out in the bathroom, being like, "Oh, I did a little too much of this." He'd just go back to his show, and it was cracking up.
Dude, it's hilarious. I mean, we smoked. I don't really smoke weed that much anymore, man. But I smoked a lot of weed when I was with him. And
you got to. I mean, you're Action Bronson.
Yeah, and like that's what I told him. I was like, look, I'll come hang out with you at Vice Studio, but I was like, we can't really get into too much dog behavior when we only have like 45 minutes with these people here, man. And not only that, but we have a chef.
Yeah,
Johnny from Jerky Boys was on mine, and then we had a band there too.
There's so many,
you know, and these dogs, like with a live band in this small space. I'm like people don't realize that I was juggling these dogs, and the first person I walk up to, I'm like, okay, cool, what's going on with your dog? And she's like, unpredicted aggression towards people and other dogs. I'm like, great, dude. Like,
you're in the right place.
I was like, what about you? And so we had to just kind of structure it. We didn't really get it too much stuff done with those dogs, but I tried to do as much as I could. But I'm just happy that some people found it enjoyable, and I'm very proud of those dogs, man. I was able to get them out on that patio, out on the deck, and was walking them around, just so I could keep the intensity level down with them. Yeah. Especially once that band came and all those people were jumping around. You'll see towards the end of that show that we were outside, and I love how they ended the show too, where I was like, I'm so proud of my dogs, and they did awesome. Good job, guys. Right. And so, but yeah, what a trip, man. I didn't realize that you saw that. So thank you, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, no problem. That was just such a cool show to watch.
Yeah. I want to take Action out, go rat hunting too, dude. And if we do that, I'll definitely call you and let you know if we do. Probably do in Brooklyn.
If you bring Action out and go ratting, like whatever night you come, I'll be available. I'll just drop my plans.
Yeah. We'll make it happen because I'll talk to him about it. We'll see, because sometimes he might be with it, he might not be. You just don't know. And some people, like Jason, the dude that introduced me to you, he has a phobia of rats.
Yeah, but Jason came out to DC to come ratting with me too. So
yeah, did you hear him when I did my live interview with him? He's got a phobia. He hates.
I have some people who are into the earth dog hunting dogs who come ratting, who have killed with their dogs so many groundhogs, raccoons, you name it. And they come ratting and they do like a tiptoe dance when that rat comes near them. Like, it's just like their feet will go up and they'll kick up a little bit. And I was just like, you have a hunting dog in your hand. You're safer than anyone else.
That's hilarious. I'm like that with bats, dude. Like, I don't know what it is. It must be a past life thing or something. But a bat will make me scream like a girl. Like I was at a community meeting that we had a bat stuck in the room. And it flew towards my face, and I screamed involuntarily, and I sounded like a girl, dude. And I was like, that came out of my mouth, man.
I mean, they are rabies vectors, so that is fair, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Marshall. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to touch on at all, or?
No, I think we touched it based on a lot of things. And I think the key thing is that when you're working those dogs and you're having fun, make it fun and don't make it about you. Like, regardless of what you're doing, I don't care if it's like sport work, bite work, ratting, be humble. Don't let your pride get in the way.
And prepare that dog too. Like, just don't throw them in the fire. Like, do some back ties, like you said. Get that toughening, get that intensity built. Get that dog wanting this. Get that dog living for this, and then let them have a couple bites in the open to see that they're capable of this, and maybe even have them watch another dog do this, so that they know that they do have permission, the carte blanche, to actually kill this thing, right? And then you're off to the races, I think, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my earthwork class, and I didn't realize other ones aren't like this, but most of what I do before I even show the dog the tunnel, I'm showing them a rat in the cage and painting the picture, using a lot of scent trails, using a lot of frustration. So by the time we get in the tunnel, they're not going to be like, "Oh, I'm claustrophobic. I don't know about this." But that builds so much want. They're like, "Well, I don't care. I'm shooting there. Go get that rat."
Well, and if they hesitate, dude, that rat's going to know, and whatever that groundhog is going to know, and they're going to take advantage of that.
Oh,
and
completely.
Just like you said with your Patterdale, as soon as that groundhog would strike at him, like the groundhog is going to strike, and excuse me, they have to take advantage of when that groundhog strikes to bite, and so they have to know the timing, when to attack, and also the behavior of the vermin as well.
This is something my mentor always asked me when I got into Patterdales. I started working them. He's like, "Marshall, what is the difference between a dumb dog and a tough dog?" And it took me a while to answer that question. But I felt like if a tough dog, they know the circumstance they're getting themselves into and the risk is worth the reward. The dumb dog, they don't care. They're just flying in there. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, it's like a bull in a china shop, man.
Exactly.
It's not purposely driven. It's just driven, and it's not like responsive. It's reactive, and that's what we see too much in our dogs. So
yeah, I had my Yog and my Patterdale. My Yog Riley, she was a great dog, but like if there was a rat on top of a planter, she would run as fast as she could, headbutt that planter, cut her head open, and kill that rat. My dog Barry, my Patterdale, would run up to that planter, look for 2 seconds, hop up it, kill that rat. Both of them would get the rat killed, but Riley didn't have to injure herself in that planter.
Yeah, much more purposeful.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, let's say goodbye to everybody on the. And how do people get a hold of you, dude? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can always just shoot me a message on Facebook and ask questions about ratting. The Renegade Rebel Ratters group on Facebook is a wealth of information, and I try to have as much information as I can about working dogs as well as just ratting in general. So if people want to just kind of learn the shadows a little bit, they can do that and then ask me some questions. And then if they want to come out, just come out.
Cool. Let me put a link up to the group in the comment section below here. And then while, I haven't mentioned this, you guys, but if you enjoy what I do here and these interviews, support me on Patreon. I love all my Patreon supporters, and I'm going to post up a link as well to the Patreon page. And I might even see if we can tap Marshall into some unique footage or something whenever he goes out ratting, or I might live stream with him and post it up on the Patreon.
Oh, I have some ratting live streams for sure. So if you want to do a live stream of us while we're going ratting, we can do that. I have some guys that hold GoPros that do that too.
Cool. That's what we'll do. We'll figure it out, and then I'll post that up on my Patreon page. But let's say goodbye to the audience here, man, and then you stay there, Marshall, and I'll say goodbye to you in the studio. Okay, bro?
Okay, sounds good.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching another live stream.
See y'all. Appreciate your time.
Check me out on Patreon and subscribe to my YouTube channel.